Is your Social Security check headed for a 22% cut? It doesn't have to be, and I can prove it. I read the Social Security Trustees report and the bill on Congress.gov. The plan is real. Here are the four: a benefit floor, a widow's raise, a bigger cost of living bump, and a smaller tax. Let's go. My name is Eric. I'm going to walk you through all four of the changes this one bill would make, show you the exact section of the bill and the federal number behind each one, and finish with a one-page action plan so you can check your own benefit and make your voice heard this week. First, hold on to the number that started us here. The people who run Social Security publish a report every year, and this year's report says the Retirement Trust Fund is projected to run short around 2033. After that, the taxes coming in would only cover about 77% of the benefits that were promised. 77 cents on every promised dollar means a cut of roughly 23%. Look at the whole program together, and the number is a little softer, about 81% payable, or a 19% cut. Call it the low 20s, roughly 22% across the board. That is not a rumor, and it is not a scam email. That is the government's own math, and there is a bill written to stop it. Change 1 is a guaranteed minimum benefit, a floor under your check so that no lifetime worker retires into poverty. Right now, Social Security already has a special minimum benefit on the books, but it has withered so badly over the decades that almost nobody qualifies for it anymore. And the few who do often get less from it than they would from the regular formula. In practice, the floor that is supposed to protect the lowest paid workers barely exists. Here is why that floor matters, and why it should make you a little angry. Social Security was never designed to pay everyone the same. It replaces a bigger share of income for low earners than for high earners, on purpose, because the whole idea was that a full working life should keep you out of poverty in old age. But if you spent 30 years cleaning houses, cutting grass, caring for other people's parents, or standing on a factory line for low wages, the regular formula can still leave you with a monthly check that falls below the poverty line. You did everything right. You worked your whole life. You paid into the system out of every single paycheck. And you can still end up choosing between the electric bill and the pharmacy counter. That is the exact gap this first change is built to close. And most of the people it would help have never once been told it is even being debated in Washington. Now the rule with the real numbers. The bill is the Social Security 2100 Act, House Bill 9519, introduced by Congressman John Larson of Connecticut. Section 103 rewrites that special minimum benefit from the ground up. For someone with more than 10 years of work, the floor starts small and climbs with every additional year you put in. It rises step by step until, at 30 years of covered work or more, your floor reaches 125% of the federal poverty line. That is the number to hold on to. 125% of poverty, guaranteed for a full career worker. Let me turn that into dollars. The federal poverty guideline for a single person this year, set by the Department of Health and Human Services, is $15,960 a year. Take 125% of that, and you get $19,950 a year. Spread that across 12 months, and the floor lands at roughly $1,660 a month. Let me show you what that looks like for a real person. Picture a retired home health aide, a woman who worked 30 years for low pay and, under today's formula, draws a check of about $1,100 a month. She is careful. She has never missed a payment on anything, and she is still $50 or $60 short at the end of every month. Under this change, her check could not fall below roughly $1,660. That is more than $500 a month she is not getting today. Over a full year, that is nearly $6,700 for the exact same work history she already earned with her own two hands. Think about what $500 a month really changes for a retiree living that close to the edge. It is the Medicare supplement premium she has been skipping. It is the dental work she keeps putting off. It is the difference between filling all 4 prescriptions this month and choosing 2. This is not lottery money. It is the floor that keeps a lifetime of low-wage work from ending in a food bank line. And the reason it matters so much is that the people it protects have the least room to absorb a cut, and the least ability to go back to work to make it up. A younger person can pick up a shift. A 78-year-old on a fixed check cannot. Now here is the catch. This floor rewards the full career. You need around 30 years of covered work to reach that top rung, and fewer years give you a lower floor. If you spent long stretches out of the workforce, or in a job that did not pay into Social Security, you may land under that line. And the biggest catch of all is this. As the rules currently stand, this is a proposed change, not the law. The floor that exists today is still the old, withered one. Keep those two things separate in your mind. This is on House Bill 9519, Section 103. And the poverty figure is from the Health and Human Services Poverty Guidelines for this year. Change 2 is a higher survivor benefit. And this one protects the person most likely to be left alone and broke, the widow or the widower. If you are married and you are watching this together tonight, lean in, because this is the change that decides what happens to the one of you who lives longer. Today's rule has a cliff built into it that catches almost every couple by surprise. Here is the stakes, in plain terms. While you are both alive, a married couple collects 2 checks. When one spouse dies, the survivor does not keep both. The survivor keeps only the larger of the 2 checks, and the smaller one simply stops. So a household that was living on 2 Social Security checks suddenly drops to 1. The problem is that the bills do not drop by half when your spouse dies. The property taxes are the same. The Medicare premium for the survivor is the same. The homeowner's insurance, the electric bill, the car, the roof over your head, all the same. But the income can fall by 1/3 or more overnight. This is why so many widows who felt comfortable at 70 suddenly feel poor at 75. And it is one of the quiet reasons older women fall into poverty at far higher rates than older men. Nobody sat them down and warned them the second check would vanish. Now the rule with the numbers. Section 105 of the bill adds a new, more generous way to calculate the survivor's benefit. Instead of just handing the survivor the larger single check, it lets the survivor receive the greater of that old amount, or 75% of the 2 checks added together, up to a cap. Let me walk one couple through it. Say a husband's benefit is $2,000 a month, and a wife's own benefit is $1,400 a month. Together, they were bringing in $3,400. Under today's rule, when the husband dies, the wife keeps the larger check, $2,000, and loses the other $1,400 entirely. Under this change, you take 75% of that $3,400 they had together, which is $2,550. She receives the greater of the 2, so she moves from $2,000 up to $2,550. That is $550 more every month, more than $6,500 a year, at the exact moment she is most exposed. Now run the same couple through today's rule one more time, so the size of the cliff really lands. 2 checks of $3,400 a month become 1 check of $2,000. That is a drop of $1,400 a month, roughly 40% of the household income, gone in the same month she is paying for a funeral. The mortgage payment did not shrink. The property tax bill did not shrink. Under this change, The fall is from $3,400 to $2,550 instead of down to $2,000. And for a widow deciding whether she can keep the house, that $18,000 over 3 years can be the whole decision. Here is the catch. This helps the two-income couple the most, the households where both spouses built their own work record, and a cap applies at the top end, so the highest earners do not get the full boost. It also, like everything on this list, is not law yet. This is on House Bill 9519, Section 105. Change 3 is a bigger, fairer cost of living bump, and it comes in 2 parts. This is the change that fights the slow leak, the way your check quietly buys less every year, even when the dollar figure goes up. Most retirees feel this, but cannot name it. The bill names it and does 2 things about it. First, understand how the yearly raise works today and why it shortchanges you. Every year, Social Security raises your benefit by a cost of living adjustment tied to a price index built around younger, working-age city workers. That index treats gasoline and electronics as big pieces of the budget. But you are retired. Your budget is heavier on the things that rise fastest: prescription drugs, doctor visits, hospital care, home care, all the pieces of health care that climb faster than almost anything else. So the official raise, year after year, tends to run just a hair behind what your actual life costs. It is not dramatic in any single year. It is a slow bleed over a 20-year retirement. Now the rule with the numbers. Section 101 of the bill gives an across-the-board benefit increase by nudging the benefit formula up, and it applies to benefits payable in the calendar years 2027 through 2036. Section 102 changes the yearly adjustment, so it uses whichever price index is higher, the old one or a special index built for people 62 and older, the one that weights healthcare the way retirees really spend. Let me put real numbers on the yearly piece. This year, the cost of living adjustment was 2.8%. On a check of just over $2,000 a month, which is close to the average retired worker's benefit, 2.8% works out to about $56 more a month. Now, the elderly index in a typical year runs a couple tenths of a percent higher. So on that same check, you might see a few extra dollars a month. A few dollars sounds small, but run it forward. A few dollars a month, compounded on top of itself every year for 20 years, is the difference between a check that keeps pace with your medicine and one that falls a full month's groceries behind by the time you are 85. And remember, the elderly index is not the only piece here. The across-the-board increase in Section 101 lifts the whole formula at the same time. So you are stacking a one-time step-up on top of a yearly raise that finally tracks the way you spend. For a retiree who lives another 25 years past 65, and many of you will, those 2 adjustments working together are the difference between watching your buying power erode a little every single year and holding steady. The single most expensive thing about growing old is healthcare, and this is the only one of these 4 changes that attacks that specific problem directly, year after year, for the rest of your life. Here is the catch, and I want you to hear it straight. The across-the-board bump in this bill is written to run only through 2036, not forever. And the elderly index is only modestly higher than the current one, not a windfall. This fixes a slow leak. It is not a jackpot. This is on House Bill 9519, Sections 101 and 102. And the 2.8% adjustment is from the Social Security Cost of Living Fact Sheet for this year. This video is for educational purposes only and is not tax, legal, or financial advice. Talk to a qualified professional before making any decision about your specific situation. If what I'm showing you is useful, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That's what tells YouTube to push this kind of plain English retirement walkthrough to more retirees who need to hear it before the rules change on them. And if you want the one-page checklist version of this episode, with every section number and every threshold laid out so you can check your own benefit and look up your own representative, the link in the description has it waiting for you. Change 4 is fewer retirees taxed on their Social Security. And this is the one that makes people the angriest once they understand it, because the trap was set almost half a century ago and left to spring on more and more people every year. Most retirees are stunned to learn their Social Security can be taxed at all. It can, and the reason more of you get caught every year is a design choice nobody ever fixed. Here is the stakes. When Congress first decided to tax Social Security benefits, back in the early 1980s, they set income lines to decide who would owe. If your combined income, which is your regular income plus tax-free interest, plus half your Social Security, came in under $25,000 for a single person or $32,000 for a married couple, you owed nothing. Above that, part of your benefit became taxable, and at higher lines, $34,000 for a single person and $44,000 for a couple, up to 85% of your benefit could be taxed. Here is the part that should make your jaw tighten. Those dollar lines were never adjusted for inflation. Not once. $25,000 in the 1980s was a comfortable retirement income. Today, it barely covers the basics, and yet the line has not moved a dollar. So every year, ordinary inflation drags more and more middle-income retirees across a line that was drawn for the wealthy 2 generations ago. Now the rule and a worked example. Section 104 of the bill finally raises those base amounts to $35,000 for a single person and $50,000 for a married couple for the years 2027 through 2036. Watch what that does for one retiree. Picture a single retiree with a combined income of $30,000 a year, a modest pension, and a Social Security check. Under today's frozen lines, she is already over the $25,000 mark, so up to half of her Social Security is pulled into her taxable income, and she owes federal tax on it. Under this change, the line moves up to $35,000. She now sits below it, and that piece of her tax bill goes to zero. Same income, same check, but the government stops reaching into a benefit she already paid for out of every paycheck of her working life. And understand how quietly this trap has grown. When the tax was written, only about 1 in 10 Social Security recipients earned enough to owe anything on their benefits. Today, because that $25,000 line has stood frozen while wages, pensions, and prices all climbed for 40 years, roughly half of all beneficiaries now pay tax on part of their Social Security. Nothing about the law changed. The line just stayed still while the whole world moved past it. And every year, a few 100,000 more middle-income retirees cross it without doing anything different. That is what a threshold frozen since the early 1980s does. It turns a tax on the wealthy into a tax on the middle, one inflation year at a time. Here is the catch, and it is the one that quietly catches good savers. That combined income number includes 1/2 of your Social Security benefit and any tax-free interest you earn. Things people forget to count. So a retiree who thinks she is safely under the line does the full math and discovers she is over it. Run your own number before you assume. This is on House Bill 9519, Section 104, and the current lines are on the Social Security Benefits Taxation page. Here is the part that surprised me when I ran the numbers. Every one of these 4 changes costs money, and the bill does not pretend otherwise. It pays for them by lifting the cap on the wages that get taxed for Social Security. Right now, you only pay Social Security tax on the first slice of your wages. This year, that ceiling is $184,500. Earn a dollar above that, and you pay no more Social Security tax on it. A school teacher pays the tax on every dollar she makes. Someone earning $2 million pays it on less than a tenth of theirs. Section 201 of the bill removes that ceiling after 2026, so the highest earners keep paying past it. Earlier versions of this plan aimed the tax specifically at wages above $400,000, and the current text lifts the cap itself. So read the version that reaches a vote before you bank on any one number. And that is the honest catch under all of this. As the rules currently stand, this is a bill sitting in committee. It has a sponsor, and it has co-sponsors, but there is no vote scheduled, and it is not the law. So the takeaway is not that your check is about to go up. The takeaway is what this would mean if it passed, and the fact that a bill written to stop that 22% cut exists, has a number, and can be read by anyone, including your own representative who works for you. Here is your one-page action plan. 1. Go to the Social Security website and create or log into your My Social Security account. Then pull your latest statement and write down your own current benefit and your projected benefit at each age. 2. Add up your own combined income, your regular income plus any tax-free interest, plus half of your yearly Social Security, and hold it against those frozen lines, $25,000 single and $32,000 married, so you know exactly where you stand today. 3. Go to congress.gov, search House Bill 9519, the Social Security 2100 Act, and check whether your own United States representative has signed on as a co-sponsor. 4. Whether they have or have not, call or write that representative's office and tell them in one sentence that this bill matters to you and your household. That is how a bill in committee becomes a bill with a vote. Same retiree, same work history, same age. Under the cut the trustees are warning about, she loses roughly 22% of her check. Under this bill, she gets a floor she cannot fall below, a bigger survivor's check if she outlives her spouse, a raise that finally tracks her medicine, and a tax line that stops dragging her in. One future is written by doing nothing. The other is written by a bill you can read tonight. Next time, I'm going to show you why the order you pull your money out in retirement can cost you thousands. Why a $20,000 withdrawal can be taxed like $37,000, and how to pull from your accounts in the sequence that keeps that from happening to you. So let me ask you this, and answer in one word in the comments, yes or no. Do you want Congress to vote on this bill this year? I read every single comment, and the most common questions become future videos. I will see you in the next.